before, do write down any questions because you'll forget them otherwise by the time we get to the end, because there's so much information. Take any notes, of course, as I said earlier, and that will help you a lot. And I won't take any questions as we go during it, just at the very end, because it gets a bit irritating to other people, I've discovered. Okay, a little sip. So, good evening. Welcome to our webinar, this session on how to release all limitations and re-establish yourself in your essential nature. And we're going to deal with this biologically as well as psycho-emotionally. And you'll see it's all quite clearly laid out and a very important and life-enhancing thing to do. So we're going to look at how to help you naturally and effortlessly take yourself from any worry, stress, negative emotions, overwhelm, fear, feeling trapped, despondency, inability to express yourself fully, lack of money, an unfulfilling lifestyle, and an interesting career, and other similar restrictions. They are all projections from within your own subconscious of particular patterns, and I'll explain that to you. And what will happen then is we'll show you how you can empower yourself to express more inner strength, confidence, self-esteem, life creative power, which means being able to create the things in life that you want, inspiration, innovation, so you can become original and creative, perhaps in a business sense, as well as just generally in life, and of course, intuition, which means to be in tune with. And all this, these positive sides that I've just listed out for you, are called your natural or true self. They are qualities of your essential nature. There's nothing better than living like this. You can search through history to see, because it is your true self, not your false self. We'll see what that is in a minute. And it's totally free of any stored negative emotions. So if you don't like any negativity, any of the things that we've mapped out just then, you can let them go, and this is how to do it. And once you experience your essential nature, your true self, you will realize that the answer to any limitations that you feel in yourself or are in your life in some way or another, all those things have their source from within yourself. In other words, don't spend your time changing things in the outside world, thinking that is where the beginning of this whole process is. It's not. Yes, of course, you work and improve things as you can, but realize that the source, the core of what happens to you has something to do with you and something to do with your inner being. And what is interesting is that your outside world, as you change your inner world, will spontaneously change, even just in the sense of more opportunities coming your way, many coincidences, meeting the right person at the right time, all those sorts of things will happen automatically. So I'm not suggesting that you sit back and imagine and do nothing in the sense of taking actions. No, that's wrong. You have to take actions because the inner world and the outer world are one. But let's not jump ahead of ourselves here. There are about 3 levels to this, and we're going to deal with each in order. And it all becomes rather mind-blowing, actually, as we proceed. And you see why your life is as it is and what you can and must do about it if you wish to enjoy a fabulous life. Why settle for anything less than a great or fabulous life? So here's the first step. The real game in human life, and this is particularly for people who've done personal development perhaps for many years, the real game is to increase your level of consciousness. This means to become brighter, more intelligent, more insightful, and happier, as well as awaken extrasensory perceptions and develop more intuition, inspiration, and innovation. Those 3 all go together. So do always remember that it is only the direct experience of your true self that will give you the experience of total inner freedom. No other experience will do that. No drugs, no love affairs, no successes in life. None of those things will give you the real reward of being a fully living, fully alive being. So this is the state, regardless, that you consciously or unconsciously crave, whether you are aware of that or not. Every human being craves, desires, wants, is motivated, etc., etc., and they don't really know what they want. They transpose it onto material objects or love affairs or whatever it might be, but there is something else that you're unconsciously craving, and that is to re-merge with your essential nature. Nothing will satisfy you apart from that. So let's start by seeing what it is that blocks your path to total freedom and freedom from those negative states by releasing, let's call them habit patterns that block you. Basically, the problem is that you and everybody else are facing, the one they're facing, is that your nervous system has been compromised by your upbringing. It is basically holding itself in a state of tension, in the sense of it being filled with unconscious and subconscious parts or levels of fear, anxiety, humiliation, threats, rejection, and in many cases, utter hopelessness. Now, this happens in a couple of layers. The first are usually the biological nervous system reactions to what's happened in your life. And this also has been contributed to by you being loaded up by the conditioning from your upbringing with lack of encouragement. Now, never underestimate this. And if you have children, immediately reverse this. Lack of encouragement is as damaging as insults in many cases, or rejections or humiliations. Because a little baby, an infant, a young child, an older child, a teenager does something, they must be encouraged. If you are not encouraged, which you haven't been properly, I'm sure very few have, if you're not properly encouraged, then that puts a complete deflationary cover over all your abilities, all your powers. And these stay in you, as you'll see. I'll clarify how that works. And this results in hopelessness. A lot of people feel hopeless. It only takes one, rejection in the classroom, at home particularly, and these things crush them for life. So what happens then, of course, as you grow up, is that you develop a whole range of coping mechanisms to deal with the realities you find yourself in. So there you are at your home, at school, in your social group, and so on, or lack of it, and you have to cope. And this is where we see all the pressures and the stresses on teenagers in particular. You read it in the news all the time. And one of the most important aspects of this is that your reactions to the various circumstances that you are confronted with will define what's going on inside you, and you tend to carry that through your life into old age. Even I deal with people in their 60s and 70s, actually even in their 80s sometimes, and they are still carrying unresolved childhood material, as we all are, until we clear it properly. And it's not just psychotherapy or clearing it on that level. The only way to clear things is to re-merge with your true self, with the higher intelligence, as you'll see as we go on. Now, you can see how this happens. You look at children, you see them in the supermarkets or at the airport, as I see them sometimes with their parents. You see them told off or shouted at, little things, 3 years old and so on, by their parent. And, at best, there's a microsecond of freezing. What have I done wrong? They don't understand. No chance of understanding anything till they're about 11 or something, right through to bursting into tears and squealing and so on. Now, those reactions, hidden or expressed, continue right through childhood and the teenage years. And if you can watch children, and if you're astute and perceptive, the reaction of the child, even if it is very subtle, you can see that every single circumstance that the child is in, there is a reaction and instruction taking place. So you need to ask yourself, what are the instructions that have gone into me during my upbringing that have made me into the person that I am today? Now, some people can be teased and made fun of in any circumstance, and they can just laugh it off. Others can be completely wounded and mortified by such behaviors. It depends on each child's personal history as to how they react. Now, you add to all of that biological realities, the different tensions that arise in life, and anything that frightens. There's a lot of things that frighten people, or makes uncertain, or builds stress, or develops a sense of being concerned about making a mistake. All these normal things of life, they contribute to and help develop this inner holding pattern in everyone. Now, people are not aware of it. When I do deeper work with people on a one-to-one basis, these holding patterns sit in there, unbeknown to them. They can be in their 40s, be very rich, have a nice relationship, and whatever, and then some minor thing starts to go wrong, and we can always trace it back to something that's gone in completely unexpectedly and quite deeply. So we're going to say how to get rid of these later on. So it's not whether any individual or not has a deep holding pattern, it's just the amount they carry of the pattern or these patterns. There are a multiplicity of them. And what actually happens biologically is your physical body at a cellular level, right down at that microscopic level, actually starts to develop a multitude of holding patterns to suppress emotions, because that's what civilization is a suppression of emotion. Emotion comes from the animalistic part of our nature, and we have to control it because we're civilized. You can't go around being a hysteric, otherwise they think you're mentally ill. So suppressing of emotion. And this is called cellular tension. Okay, cellular tension. And what this means is that you are, unbeknown to you consciously, holding on to yourself very, very tightly at an unconscious level. The cells of your body become more and more tense. You're not aware of it. You might occasionally feel a bit of stress, physical stress, but basically you're not aware of it. It's rather like you're waiting somewhere with trepidation, fear, because a dangerous event is about to occur, which may affect you or even threaten your whole way of life. It's as if maybe a lion has escaped from the zoo and has eaten a few people. You're on the same street and you think it's going to come around that corner any second. You'd be in a state of trepidation, quite obviously, and all of us would, in other words. So what happens in those circumstances, in that fear, waiting for fear to happen, to come, some cause of fear to come into you, into your experience, is the biological fight, flight, and freeze response. So if you were really in a jungle and a lion was coming along, you would take flight, or you would fight, and the other alternative is to freeze. So that's a biological mechanism and reaction. You can see it in people's body language when strange things happen. There was a very famous story of a ferry in the UK going across the English Channel, and it was a car ferry and they hadn't shut the doors properly and it sank. And one guy who survived said that he was, when he heard the alarms going, get on deck into the lifeboats, he ran as fast as he could to the highest point. He said it was like an animalistic something took him over and he just had to get to the highest point, which is what an animal would do, you know. It wouldn't think, oh, well, I'll get to the lifeboat. The animalistic reaction takes over. And as he ran through the canteen, the restaurant where everybody had been sitting, as these alarms are going, he said there were many, many people, 80 people or something, sitting there, frozen in their chairs, unable to move. And the loudspeakers were saying, get to the decks, get to the decks. And they were frozen. They were in the freeze response. So this biological reality is with us all through our lives, all of us, every single day. And most people don't realize that they are caught in the fight, flight, or freeze response. People who fight that response, they're aggressive people. Flight, they're people who are always running away. They won't stick their neck out and do anything different in their life because they're in that one. And then the freeze response, as I've described, you can't do much at all. So what happens is that those reactions, and we've all got them, those reactions cause people to hold their body in particular postures, such as hunching of the shoulders, rounding of the back, gritting of the teeth, the jaw thrust forward or pulled in, the inability to stretch and be flexible with their body. This is normal. It's not natural. It's normal, but it reflects the formation of their inner conditioning. So as you stop at the bus stop one day or at the traffic lights, just look at people crossing the road or walking along or standing there, and just look at their body language and see what you can pick out. It's very, very interesting, particularly if you catch a glimpse of yourself in one of the big window of the big shops and you see that and think, who's that? Oh God, that's me. Is that what I look like? So now that's one side of it. So there's the reality that we've been conditioned, and we've also have the biological animalistic fight, flight, freeze responses coming in. So we've got this inattention. It's below the surface of our consciousness. We're not where it's there. But what happens is that the life force longing to clear you out, what it does is it projects the pressure of these blocked emotional reactions. It projects it into the world, again, subconsciously, and you, by your choices, create challenges, limitations, and confronting experiences to match your inner life. So if you were rejected from a group at school, let's say, or let's say by someone you wanted to be friends with, then, and they just rejected you, then you are likely to recreate that in your adult life, probably many, many times over, along with the associated emotions that were there with that experience when you were young. So you, like everybody else, are addicted to feelings or emotions. That's what the motivation of life is. And what you do is you keep trying to recreate the emotions of early life in the hope of getting rid of the negative ones. That's how life wants to clear you. Because if it can bring it to the surface and free you of it, then you'll be clear enough to live with freedom. If you don't free it, you're entrapped by it, just the way it works. And so in this aspect of projection, of continually subconsciously trying to form your outer circumstances to match your inner memories and tensions, that is the basis of all your difficulties and challenges that loop through your life. It is that looping going on from the subconscious into your daily life. It's all biologically based, plus the memories from muscular tension and freeze response, all that stuff. It all mixes up, and that's what people's lives are. They live those out. They get a little bit of a high now and again, something works, some part of their personality has a benefit, and they think, yes, everything's going well, and then down they go, the other sub-personalities come for a run. So this is not just people who have some sort of anxiety disorder that it's relevant for. It is everyone who is not a completely free being and who has yet to create their life in the way they want it to be. So if your life is not working in the way that you want it to be in any area whatsoever, there's something playing out. Don't look out there. Don't look into the world. Look within yourself. Find out what it is. Free it. Clear it. Create something new. And the goal and the game that we're all here playing out, regardless of whether we like it or not, is that you are attempting to merge yourself more and more with your superconscious, the highest part of your nature, the source of inspiration, intuition, unhindered creativity, free-flowing innovation, originality, in other words, the ability to read other people instantly and communicate well with them, and a litany of other benefits. If you're not getting those, then you're not a fully alive being and accessing the part of your mind that can really give you what you want. So let's go deeper here now. This inattention, this internal gripping, it's like thousands of little fists, clenched fists, all there through you. And you can feel it when you're tense. Oh, golly, I'm tensioned, etc. And this inattention is now becoming the normal state of more and more people as the pressures of society build. It didn't used to be that case. It's getting worse. The doctors will tell you, the medical profession will tell you, going back 50 years, it was a quarter of the people going to hospital for these, stress-based illnesses. Now it's about half, they think. Eventually it'll be more than any other disease, physical disease going on. And the big problem is for people, they're not aware of it. Because as the pressure builds, yes, you might feel it, you might feel exhausted, you might feel you need a drink or a relaxation or something like that, but you feel the pressure. But then what happens is that basically you project it into your world and you find fault in your world somewhere. You create challenges, limitations, confronting experiences to match your inner life. You don't know you're doing it. You don't know that repeating problem at work or in your relationship or with the kids or whatever it is in life. You don't know that it's coming from within yourself. And one of the most shocking things is that people who do proper work to clear themselves of these things is that how their life changes instantly. They get a terrible shock. People contact me all the time about this. So it is this aspect of projection, of trying to form outer circumstances to match your inner memories. Life is trying to work out some sort of balance, all these tensions and so on. This is the basis of the difficulties. So if you have enough feelings of being limited or have recurring anxiety, fear, worry, confusion, stress, these are the common ones in society, then you make your choices in life to match those inner patterns. And this is really strange how the mind can do it. The mind has many higher powers and it does it through those higher powers because it's just a responsive mechanism. So if you have within yourself various patterns like these feelings I've just described, and you have a situation, let's say you were bullied at school and you rejected and so on, you may go for a job and somehow or other in the sort of synchronicity of life, you manage to find a job which seems so nice in the beginning, and you get there and you start working there and suddenly people are bullying you and finding fault with you and rejecting you, exactly as you experienced at school, let's say. And what can you do? Well, most people have no idea. They think it's a horrible workplace. They don't realize that maybe, just maybe, something within themselves is actually causing that problem. So this is the real trap, to be unaware that it is your deeper inner feelings and memories that are creating the ideas that become your life experiences. Now, if you can get to that point, you are ahead of 90%, if not more, of the population, because they blame the outside world, as we all do until we understand all these things. So it's these feelings, and if they're very, very intense, it's possible that you will construct your life experiences to match them totally and utterly. I've dealt with people, I've known people who just socially, and I haven't worked with them at all, and I watch their lives and I see the same pattern rolling out. I long to tell them, but it's not appropriate unless they ask you first. So let's just take a simple example. Let's say you had a parent or parents who continually told you they could not afford anything, that money was tight, they did not have enough to pay the bills. Then what are you going to do? You're likely to recreate that in your life, having no idea where it's created from, blaming the economy, blaming the property market, blaming your employer, or whatever it is. It's easy to blame. Much easier to blame and complain than it is to find the story, although to find the story and correct it is the easiest path of all. So this cellular tension, this core problem, this original problem, can not only cause you to experience many negative emotions, many negative experiences as just described, but it can also spoil your regular sleep. Very big casualty comes in there. And if you could just rid yourself of these habits of internal holding of your nervous system, your muscles, your ligaments, your skin, then your life would transform. So don't waste your time trying to fix things in the outside world, going along to a rah sort of sales conference, going to ordinary personal development with a couple of affirmations and visualization, and those things can be useful, but you've got to get to the core problem, biology, first of all. And then when you free that, you're 90% finished with all the other stuff that would take you 30 years or more to try and clear without doing this proper work. So you'd be able to become everything that you possibly could be. Why? Because you would be allowing your internal supreme creative power to express itself fully in your life without anything holding you back. You would feel love and compassion. That's what the true self is. If you want to feel love, see, a lot of people want to experience love. They want to be in love. They're looking for someone to love them. But what they don't realize or don't remember is that the only love you ever feel is the love that's coming out of you. You don't experience anybody else's love because you're not inside their nervous system. The only love you feel is coming out of you. So you have to get yourself into a state of love, which is known as the natural state. And it only comes from the true self. So I'm going to explain to you what's the true self, what's the false self. Get that one in place for us. So what is absolutely essential for you to realize from today onwards, if you haven't already realized it, is that you have lost touch with your true self. Something has happened. In the business of your daily life, coupled with the permanent, albeit unconscious cellular tension, rarely does your true self have a chance to become fully present. It's layered over or entrapped by this collection of memories, conditioning, stories, emotions, beliefs, most of which are not based in reality, but are in fact like hypnotic instructions downloaded from your parents and upbringing and so on. So what this means is that instead of you, your true self, living your life with all your faculties and capabilities, you are being lived by these past instructions and have no idea that this is happening. Now, here's an important distinction. All these old impressions that have gone in together are called the false self. And that is why people deep down not only feel lost, but they are also unable to feel fulfilled, even if they succeed in daily life. I know many, many people, only 2 weeks ago somebody came, who are hugely materially successful, but it hasn't worked. They've got the happy family, they've got the money in the bank, they've got the position in society, they've got access to lots of nice people and all these things. Not happy. They don't know why. They've lived the dream as instructed by the consumer society, but they don't know why. Now, this is a very, very big problem, not being fulfilled, because everything is affected by that. Relationships, money, career, lifestyle, creativity, every aspect of life. And what the problem is they are living out not who they truly are. So it feels false. Now, this will never satisfy you, nor can you escape the false self on your own. It's like trying to lift yourself up by your bootstraps, as the old saying goes. But you do have a faculty within you already which can make easy work of dealing with this life-restricting problem. And the effects of being conditioned and brought up in an unloving environment, or just a partially loving one, this causes every human being to be gripped by these long-term habit patterns. And what are the grippings? If we can identify what is gripping, we can do something about it. So the grippings are obviously of a muscular nature. The muscles actually memorize at a very subtle level threats to each individual. And also, of course, the nervous system is tense as well. The muscles can hold tremendous tension, and that can stay throughout a person's life. Often, if you've never had a massage, you go and have a massage or haven't had one for a long time, the pain in the muscles is shocking. It's very, very nice to get rid of it. You look at all the ancient traditions, the martial arts, the Tai Chi, the yoga. What are they? They're exercises to stretch out the muscles completely at the deepest cellular level, because what that will do is remove, or at least dissolve partially, these gripping holding patterns, because they're held in the muscles. Now keep that in mind for a moment. And what that does, when you free them up, it allows you to live a natural life. Now, deeper down, there are other, even more subtle levels of emotional and psychological holding on, and these need freeing too. So what is important for you to remember is don't waste your time trying to use techniques to improve your life permanently. You can get temporary, but unless you've done this, unless this is the foundation of your life. So all the anxiety, fear, emotional outbursts, depression, relentless unhappiness, they're all caused by these kinds of tense cellular tension memories, which nobody knows or can actually get to because there's something undermining it. And what happens to happen, how it works is like this. If you fix that, you fix everything. So the personality is nothing more than a collection of behaviors and memories. It's not something organic or solid. We believe it to be so, but the persona, the personality, persona, what that means is a mask, and it is a mask of the true self, which is where all the power lies. So your personality or full self has created a sense of a danger of being alive. So there is with this an existential danger, if you like. There is an unconscious threat that the personality, which is based on memories and ideas and so on, will leave, will become defenseless. And you see this happening very often if you're dealing with people who are challenged in any way. They think, my goodness, they can be going along in a very, very positive frame of mind, and then something comes in and undermines them. And it can be a job challenge, a financial loss, a relationship breakdown. These sorts of things can come in, and they had no idea. They can be in their 40s, even 50s. They can be there. Nothing's ever gone wrong in their life before. Everything was going well. Suddenly this rather large event took place and completely shatters and undermines them. And their personality, because their story of life has not worked, their personality starts to shake, so to speak, and they find fears arise, and suddenly everything that was working very well doesn't work anymore. If they do this proper cellular relaxation, they would be able to compensate for that and change everything around. We're in this sort of anxiety epidemic period of time that's sweeping the world. It can be fixed in anyone if they have the right knowledge and the method. Some people are more pronounced than others, quite obviously, but things can break through. So the interesting thing is this, is that your true self, which is absolute solidity, fearlessness, courage, power, pure intuition, inspiration, creativity, and so on, that is just the other side of the cellular tension. It is the cellular tension that blocks you from knowing your true self and accessing the enlightened state and all the things that people look for. So what happens is that the tension restricts them from expressing themselves fully, feeling confident, being filled with self-esteem and personal power, and having a great creative attitude towards their lives. It cuts them off, and you need to relax that cellular tension, merge with the true self, expand your state of consciousness, because that's the real point, is to, increase your state of consciousness, and then you can cross right out of it. The other thing to keep in mind is that there are many of your impressions and conditioning factors that are in there that are downloads just from your parents or those who brought you up, which is their own unconscious material or subconscious material. When you're a child, you're completely open, you're a sponge to anything that's around, and you tend to draw down everybody's atmosphere, their whole DNA, ancestral history, memories. It's in your own DNA, obviously. So you live out things, and you will even have memories of things that you're not really sure of, but are somewhere in your own lineage. It's a very complex thing to work that out. But if you spend your time concentrating on expanding yourself to remove that tension, that fight, flight, or freeze response, then of course you can clear all those things up. Because once you realize things are not necessarily to do with you, there's something you've loaded up, then you are able to deal with them, they're less overpowering. So, summation. To solve the problem you have to deal with, I'll explain what to do in a moment. Everybody is loaded up during their conditioning with various levels of negative inputs, from teasing to humiliation to rejection and even assault, okay, big ones. The surface personality, the you that you present to the world, buries that material in order to function, naturally enough. And this inattention therefore stays in the subconscious mind and only is reflected in the person when they're being negative or driven in some sort of way. So if there is any challenge or change in a person's life, then this opens the door to the personality as a whole, and sometimes it allows more negative emotion to surface, or it makes the person feel uncertain, unsteady, and then throws them into anxiety, confusion, worry, overwhelm, and so on. And even just ordinary daily relentless stress and pressure of ordinary life can do the same thing. This is what we're facing now. And you don't want to not fix it. You want to fix it, particularly when you're feeling terrific. You'll only feel better and better and better and better, because once it hits you, of course, it takes over your life and you need to do things much more urgently. So it is the natural way to do it. You need to keep in mind it's always the core cause of problems. No question of that. So if you have a relationship problem, start to look at your own inattention. If you have a financial problem, definitely look at what is the cellular freezing that's supporting that. If you can't get the job you want, once again, change the cellular tension to cellular relaxation, and you'll find all sorts of doors will open for you. We do this all the time with people. We run things every week, and people do the things that are taught, and they report back to us many, 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 many wonderful things. And all those masters who've established themselves in the true self over the centuries have said the same thing. If you rest in your true self, then you will experience continual strength and courage, and you will no longer burn in the fires of anxiety and fear. Now, wouldn't that be nice? Because when you're gripped with an upsurge of anxiety or fear or worry or stress, there's also an idea that, or a feeling, there must be something wrong with me, that you may have some sort of mental challenge or disorder or something like that, and they'll fill you up with pills quick as anything. But these results bring a conclusion that life itself cannot be trusted because you don't know the facts. Now, the facts are, here is the personality, the conditioned personality made up of memories and beliefs that have handed down to you from your upbringing. Here is I'm just doing it in a linear way. Here is the true self. Most people live over here in the personality. You want to move between their personality, which is something you have, not something that you are. Remember, persona, personality, means a mask. This is a mask worn by the self, but we spend so much time with it, we identify with it. It has no foundation. It is just a collection of memories. In between this false self and the true self is the layer of cellular tension. Dissolve the cellular tension. You can then relax into your true self and then use the persona as it was designed to be used, which is as a means of communication, a mechanism of communication. Okay, that's what you need to do. Most people do their personal development in the false self, and it's just, shifting the deck chairs on the Titanic. You've got to do what the traditions have said for thousands of years. Go back here, and you will feel blissful, creative, ecstatic. You'll be incredibly attractive to people, youthful, magnetic, these sorts of things. That's what the true self actually is. That's why every single school of every single tradition says, know thyself. Know thyself. That's the single teaching, but people think it's know the personality because they think the personality is the self, you see, and they just can't get through that tension. So what that means is that in order for you to have the best life possible, the very first thing you need to do is to reset your nervous system to its natural state. This is what you do if you go to the ashrams, the monasteries, the lamasseries, the secret schools, the mystery schools. This is what they'll do first of all. Reset your nervous system, and as you do that, you can reprogram yourself to discover or uncover your true self, and the negativity will disappear of its own accord. That's how it works. And so this dissolving of the holding pattern of your nervous system, allowing it to return to its natural state will have the most beneficial effect that you can ever have on your system. And so there are many, many places that teach you things like mindfulness. Not much use for this job. The way it's taught is incorrect. It should be mind emptiness anyway, if you think about it. The Buddhist teachers found it's been misused and mistranslated. You need to be mind emptiness. You're not trying to, here's a mind, blah, 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 blah. You need to get back over the hump there. You may be familiar, for instance, with people, this is how to do it, who've been unable to sleep properly for years, for instance, or even decades. I knew this was a doctor. He went up to the Kimberleys, or could be any other wilderness, pure wilderness area, camping under the stars, and many people find they fall asleep easily. For the 7 nights they're up there, every night they sleep perfectly all the way through. And the DNA of their sleeping system, their nervous system, has been reset from the sounds and atmosphere of nature. Okay, so that's the base, that's the fundamental base. But when they come back to the city, they revert to their old ways. You've got to have consistent practice. You can't go and live in the Kimberleys. There's not much internet connection there, so that wouldn't happen. But also, have you noticed how the Christian monasteries, the Indian ashrams, the Tibetan lamasseries, and all the similar venues in all cultures are more often positioned in the mountains or the forests or the jungles or the deserts? And these places were originally designed to first release the tension of the nervous system of the people who came, and the natural locations with their sounds that they were located in helped greatly to achieve that. And this has been forgotten. And so what you're dealing with is a biological resetting requirement, but you also need proper instructions to go in while you are resetting, because the mind is such a chatterbox. You need to give it something to do, to calm it down, to direct it. So the correct introduction and instructions to reset your nervous system will free you of those restricting patterns that block your natural self more quickly than anything else. So that's my advice, is what you do. I have created, and with great success for many, many people, it's our most popular course called the Natural Self Program. It's got 7 special audio tracks and instructions. It's designed to help you release your nervous system back to its natural state. All you have to do is lay down anytime, day or night, doesn't matter. Most people have used it immediately to go to sleep very well. It's designed to do this release process. You listen to one of the audio tracks. You can pick one or more of the 7. 6 of them have the instructions, the verbal instructions in my voice on them as well, which is very, very helpful. One of them is just purely the sounds of nature. You can just listen to that if you want to, but you really need the instructions at the same time, because the conditioning process needs to be affected. And what will happen is, as you listen to them, you'll feel yourself letting go more and more and more and more each time you do it at ever deepening levels. And this has a cumulative effect of releasing the tension and the holding on patterns, the lots of little fists, which give you the limitations in your life. And as you relax, what happens? The true self can emerge much more. The personality can calm down. Biologically, physically, you feel better. And then your life doesn't have to be the screen of the projection of your negative patterns. Suddenly, everything is singing from the same song sheet. And this is how you leave behind negativity. You discover how to become more confident, more centered, more expressive, self-expression, more easygoing. You can look life in the face and deal with whatever is put in front of you in very, very positive ways. So it's a very enjoyable process. You'll discover you feel better with each session that you do, and you're likely to feel, both during and after the sessions, a physical release of your holding patterns. You may find, as I did when I meditated, I started meditation when I was 18, and with the meditation, I found that after 6 months, my shoulders suddenly dropped, and I realized I've been holding them all that time. I was 18, young, and suddenly dropped. And as you lie there just resting, listening to the audio tracks, you will find that you will also go, ah, suddenly you'll let go, because it's a pattern. You know, these are severe patterns for most people, and they can't relax, they can't let go. It spoils their sex life, amongst many other things. They can't become very fit. They find it hard to go to the gym. They find it, you know, difficult to lose weight. But once you start doing these things, you feel different. That's the point. You feel very, very different. So it's a remarkable experience for you to let go of this muscular and nervous system holding patterns that have been with you for years. So this is what the Natural Self program has been designed to do, to allow you to return to your natural state in the easiest ways possible. And funnily enough, I was making this in England when I was over there, and as I'd done all my research and I was putting it all together and recording it, and then I found when I'd finished that down of all the places in the world, a group of university academics have been studying the same thing and come up with the same conclusions that I had. They'd done all the tests and everything in Sussex University. Funnily enough, I was 15 minutes from Sussex University. I was in Sussex. I was literally just down the road from them. And so some sort of, through the ether, the knowledge was shared in some way. So this is a done for you program. You don't have to start to work out what to do. You just lie there, switch it on, and it all does you. At best, in the beginning, it'll relieve tension, feelings that there's something wrong, the worry, the overwhelm. This begins to fall away, and new experiences of life, enjoying it fully, engaging with it fully, begin to take place. So this is what we have here for you. The natural self, the DNA recognizes what it is, and you can get it here. I'll send you the link if you'd like to get it for yourself while it's on this introductory price. I'm going to put it in the question box, then I'm going to take questions, send to all, and I'll put it in the chat box as well. That's the link. The fee is $197 for the whole 7 tracks and the explanatory stuff that goes with it. There's also a 3 payment option, once a month for 3 months if you need that little breakdown. And you can grab your, have I sent that? Just a minute, I'll send it in the chat box. Send, there it is. So you should have it there. And what happens is that you'll get it, and then within 12 hours, some tonight, some tomorrow, depending on how many there are, you'll get the email, automatic email with your login details. It's all up there 24/7. It's up there for at least a year, so you can download it at any time. It's sitting there for you, and you can just go, what I suggest is you go through each one, maybe spend a week on each one until you find the one that you like the best, but then you'll go back to it in a few months and you find another one that you like the best. So what happens is that something that grows on you and you can let go. So if you want to be rid of anxiety, worry, stress, overload, overwhelm, exhaustion, all these things that spoil one's life, the fact that you can feel them means that you are now at a point where you need to heal them. A lot of people have them, probably all, but they're not close to the surface. So if you want to feel more even, more centered through your life, and find that you can come in harmony with life much more, you can awaken the full powers of your true self, this is the first step that you must do in order to be able to do any further personal development work if you would like to. So that's what we have. If you'd like to get it, please go to that link I sent. If you didn't get the link, send me a little message. Now, if you look to your question box on your control panel, you'll see a question there place, so you can ask me any questions. Okay, thanks, Janelle. Lost sound? Angela, lost sound. Sound is back. I didn't do anything. We just do it as a MP3, Angela. Everything's as an MP3, an audio track. So you just download it. It goes onto any device. You put it into iTunes, and it goes onto your phone or your desktop, or I presume your tablet, your iPad. I haven't got one, but I presume it's the same. And then you can listen to it whenever you like. Okay, so any other questions? Do ask me any questions about personal development or the mind and personality. This is so important. This kind of knowledge is crucial, and you will learn. It is a shock, I can assure you, when things go wrong in life and you forget, as it's possible, that it might be something to do with your own mind, and then you start to work on your mind and the world spontaneously changes outside you. Well, that is a fascinating experience, and it gives you power for the first time in your life. If you want power, this is exactly how you get it. Do hatha yoga postures also reduce cellular tension? Absolutely. The stretching poses of yoga, which are very popular today, their goal is to remove the core tension in every muscle group. Most people who teach hatha yoga or do it don't know that. What you need is long held duration-wise postures. So if you do the standing postures, you hold them in that position for as long as possible. The yogis do it up to 30 minutes, that kind of thing. And the tension goes in so deeply that it gets every single cell in the muscle, so that when you let go, boom, you're letting go. So those postures are another way of doing it, definitely. How long is each session? Look, it varies between half an hour. The end one is an hour, 25 minutes perhaps, that kind of thing. Just enough to send you off nicely into a deep state. Stan, it's only a download, Stan. We don't have anybody getting CDs or DVDs anymore. Nobody asks for them. We used to do them, and then they said, "Oh, why do you keep doing those? We all on MP3." So if you've got a computer, you can easily download the MP3, put in a blank CD or DVD perhaps, but a CD will be fine, and download it. Just copy it onto that. That's easily done in any standard computer, as long as you've got a drive, a CD drive. Then you can. A lot of people download them and then keep them on CDs as well. So if you have trouble with that, let me know. How does this differ from Yoga Nidra? Bonnie, Yoga Nidra is very good. I've done a tape, it was a tape in the old days, called Deep Relaxation, which was a Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is very good. It means it's really to do with turning your body into a corpse posture. And that means you let go and let go. But the trouble is that worked very well for villagers 3,000 years ago and 2,000 years ago in India, who were, you know, without stress. But the modern mind is so hyperactive with with all this social media and super duper inventions to do it, that you need something a little bit more instructive to make the difference. And the addition of these sounds affects the DNA as well. And so this is why I've done it. We've had tremendous success with this particular course. And I would say that the Yoga Nidra, brilliant though it is, will not get people deep enough today because they're just too tense, too much tension in them, that I've found that. So that would help a lot. Chanting is very good. If you do chanting properly, definitely a very good thing. It's got to be with musical instruments. Some of it's a bit soppy. Make sure you chant in Sanskrit or Latin. Otherwise, it's a bit sort of new agey, sweetie pie stuff, and that doesn't affect, doesn't do the core work that you want. Kane, it's possible to get a copy of the webinar audio. That's possible. If you're on the list, send me an email, Kane, and let me know. That should be fine. Bonnie, okay, Yoga Nidra, yes, that's fine, good. Charlene, just go back into your membership page, and it's all sitting up there. I looked at it yesterday. It's all sitting up there, ready to go, all 7. Monica, so is this a guided meditation, so to speak? Is it specific? And is it not seeing the attachment of what we feel as a void in our life? And the feelings around that is really the key to letting this go and moving forward. It's not really a feeling thing, Monica. It's not a guided meditation. We're not sending you on a meditation journey of any type. We're trying to get you out of the personal mind. Most people I've found spend their times in the personal mind, doing techniques and journeys and visualizing special spaces and rooms. That's not where you want to be. That's all personality stuff. There is no voice required. This is much more of an energy-based exercise, and you will find that we're trying to get you, it works, we're trying to get you underneath the personal mind with all its dialogue. Okay, personal mind has wonderful use, quite obviously, of different things, but this is not where it belongs. So it won't allow you to be, those surface techniques won't allow you to be free. Okay, you do this and you find that the personal mind will rebel if it's full of knowledge, and you just have to sit there with it or lie there down there with it and let it go, and gradually the DNA will kick in and take you away from having to be bound in the personal mind. And I think you'd find that very useful there. Oh, Michael, I fell into a deep sleep. There you are at work, just listening to the webinar. Do you think I missed it, or did I get the information? You wouldn't have got the information if you were asleep, so you will need to think again. Thanks, Monica. That's great. Charlene, yes, try that, Charlene. Just let me know. Send me an email, any problem about that. That'll be fine. Okay. Thanks, Michael. Excellent webinar. Mario, thank you very much. So this is the important thing. Has everybody got the link? Okay. Somebody wants it again. I'm going to send the link once there and once there. Send to all. That's it. That should get it. So there's the link. You just click on that. It'll take you to the page for you to grab your set, your copy. Any more queries about the mind, consciousness, the personality? It's really important to get that, because very few people who teach personal development even understand subpersonalities, one of the bread and butter issues. It's very important to understand your personality and its structures and functions. Otherwise, you'll be trapped in it for life. For instance, a lot of people go to various teachers who say, be here now, live in the now, that kind of thing. But what they don't understand is what they are directing their followers into is one of the subpersonalities, which is called the witnessing mind. The witnessing mind is a personality of the personal mind, and its job is to masquerade as awareness, as a peaceful awareness. So it's just a still energy in the personal mind. It's not where you want to be. It's good for calming down, perhaps, but it is not going to take you to the enlightened state. So anything in the personal mind is something that is not where you want to be. You want to be transcending that and getting to the transpersonal part of your nature, if you want the real cookies, so to speak. Okay. How important is meditation now? I did your seminar in 2000. Great information. This should be taught in schools. Thanks, Garrett. I agree it should be taught in schools. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to do a youth program. Well, not trying. I'm doing a youth program at the moment, because meditation is even more important now than it used to be because of the increased stress. I'll tell you an interesting statistic I read, that the stress levels 30 years ago, they had a certain marker for it, a number for stress levels, where you'd be taken to hospital now and put in a hospital bed. Now, today, the accepted stress level as healthy is the same measure as it was 30 years ago when they put you in hospital. The stress has increased so much. So I'm on a mission to get everybody meditating. And what I'm going to do is, for those of you who get this course, the Natural Self course for 197, I'm going to include a whole how to meditate course, because most people don't know how to meditate properly. So I'm including that as a bonus for you, and you will see it come through. It's going to be called Deep Breaths Now, the two of them together. So if you'd like to take advantage of this course, you will get as a free gift how to meditate, a 4-session course, which will give you correct, proper meditation. There's a lot of, nonsense being taught as meditation, which is a shame. So I'm very keen on getting proper meditation out, Garrett. So thanks for that. Kane, how can I get a copy of Absolute Happiness? I cannot find my copy you signed on the Gold Coast about 18 years ago. You could, if you wanted a physical copy, you'd have to write to me. Just send me an email. But if you want a digital copy, you can go to absolutehappiness.com. That gives you a digital copy there. You can buy one there. Can I hear this again? Because I fell asleep. You send me an email and I can send you the audio copy. I'll send an audio. Greta, thanks, Michael, for a wonderful, informative evening. On the low side, come along really well. Have a wonderful evening. My projects, which have been influenced by your great courses, still working. Okay, Greta, that's great. Bonnie, how will we ever know if we're transcending? The mind is tricky. Very good question. The way to know the mind is transcending is that, or rather, you are transcending the mind, is that, yes, the mind is tricky, it plays games. Transcendence is accompanied by an altered state of increasing strength, consciousness, power, bliss, ecstasy, and you feel like a wild animal. You don't behave like a wild animal, but you feel like one. So you are getting into your natural state. So you're experiencing expanded states of consciousness, cosmic consciousness. Now, that won't happen on day one. You will have to do your work properly, which is just lying down and taking it and then meditating and so on to attract that energy into you. But it is within you already. It is the busyness of the personal mind that is the problem. And this particular course will help dramatically to slow that down, because it's like you know how when you learn to balance on a bike, what you've got to do is to learn how to balance your system. And it takes a little time to get, depending on how stressed you are, it takes a little time to get that. But once you get it and you know how to be in the moment, so to speak, fully, then you'll find it very easy to understand what I'm talking about, like about that regard. You didn't go to sleep this time. Very good, Greta. Denise, thank you, Denise. Thank you very much. Yes, okay, good. I hope that was clear, Bonnie. Did that make sense? And anybody else got a query, or just time for a couple more if anybody has anything they'd like to ask? I mean, what is strange, I'll tell you what's strange, is that people go through their entire lives. I know people who aren't interested in personal development that I've known from the film industry years. They go through their entire lives behaving as they behaved when they were young, children, living out their youthful patterns, the same behaviors, interactions, relationships. I mean, it's shocking to me to see it. And relationships come and go, fall over, money's a problem, etc., etc. And they think just because they're going well for a little while, they don't realize that, life has an unfortunate habit of sneaking up onto the deluded and sending them down a slippery slide, because they think that they sort of can get settled and then it's all over. Life is one thing. Look out of the window. It is continual growth. That's what it is. Everything's growing. If they're not growing, it's dying. Those are the two choices: growth or stagnating and death. So you want to make sure that you are growing yourself all the time in some form or another, creatively, with your behaviors, with your fitness and health, with your skills and hobbies, cooking, yoga, whatever it might be. Have something where you're growing. If not, you're contradicting life. And life will not like that. Life will, quite clearly, as we look to nature, if you're not growing, you're stagnating. So you don't want to stagnate. You want to grow yourself. You want to increase your energy. You want to have a great life, which you can, but you don't want to wait for it to happen. You want to be the director of your life. Don't let anybody else do it for you. Kane, thank you, Michael. It's fantastic to listen to your fantastic content again. Thanks very much, Kane. Well, we do them, if you've just joined the list again, we do these very regularly, usually weekly or 2 weekly at the most, usually weekly though. So I'll be putting up a few other ones, podcasts as well. So if you'd like to come again, please do. And we've got lots and lots of courses that you'd find very helpful. Sue, thanks for the webinar. I keep attracting unhelpful people into my life, especially workers and tradespeople who end up costing a huge amount of money and sometimes legal battles. I've done a lot of work on this, but this has started happening again over the last 8 years. Will the program help me deal with this pattern? Thanks, Sue. Yes, Sue, it will, because what you're living out is a subpersonality issue, okay? You haven't got the levels of perception developed yet where you can perceive who it is that you're bringing into your life. So as you correct your inner imbalances, then what you find is that when somebody comes for a job, you can tell, is this person going to be trouble or are they going to deliver? So that's what you want to do. You must develop your intuition, and this is so important for everybody. Your intuition is the key. The intuition is the communication from your higher or true self, and that is the most important thing. I rely on my intuition 100% now. It started to work when I was young. Maybe every few months I get an intuitive flash. Now it's almost on a daily basis. I can tell things, I know things because I've done the practices. You can do the same, but the first primary practice is what is contained in this course. Because if you are in a state of gripping, inattention, cellular tension, everything goes awry. As you know, if you're in a bad mood, things aren't great. So this is the logic there as well. So I think you'd find that very, very helpful indeed for you. Charlene, good night, Michael, good night. Bonnie, it makes sense, but after trying for 40 years of trying to get rid of limiting beliefs, I guess I'm a bit jaded. That's right. I have been doing what you have said, always trying to grow, but some things are stubborn. Money beliefs, for example. Yes, well, money will become even more challenging in the years to come, in the sense of the economic realities we're all going to face because of the robots, and I've been doing a lot of seminars on robots and artificial intelligence and new technology, and there's going to be a lot of people who are not prepared, who haven't cleared their unconscious and subconscious patterns, who are going to be faced with big challenges now. Not this week, but we got several months up our sleeve, or maybe 2 years before it becomes very challenging. So I would say no time in history has been more important than to clear up any negativity whatsoever. Clear it up, dissolve it, get rid of it, get yourself settled. You probably saw on 60 Minutes tonight, I saw it on the news, 40% drop in house prices coming up. This is what they're saying on 60 Minutes tonight. I don't know how true that is. Seems like an awful lot, doesn't it? That will really shatter an awful lot of people. But things, there's trillions of dollars in debt, and they're keeping it afloat at the moment. So I would say clear those money patterns up really quick, because you need to get them really straight. I'll do another webinar on that as well for you. But put every penny you have into your own growth. That will be my advice. I do it. Put it into your own growth. Greta, it's healing a good thing to get into now. Is healing a good thing to get into now? I would say yes, because a lot of people are going to feel the imbalances and they will project their negativity into physical well-being. That's just what happens. And so if you can help them, that would be very, very good idea. But the most important thing is to help yourself. First of all, make sure the better the state you are in, the better your life will work. That's how it works. And you will get to the stage where you can sit down, you can do it lying down, you can do it sitting on a couch, where you go within and you instruct yourself through feelings, communicating through feelings and traditional ways. And then you find that you can start to cause the universe to deliver for you whatever it is that you want. It'll bring things along to you. The universe is a play of consciousness. And what is consciousness? Is your creative power. So you are the center of your own universe. And what is important is to practice. But don't practice with tension inside you, because you'll cause the opposite to happen. Get rid of the tension. You're going to feel much better. And then create the experiences that you want. That's how it works. Okay, Angela, I have the intuition, it's great. However, I don't listen to it and end up with old patterns. Will this help? Oh, I have the intuition and it's great. Yeah, this will help you because what stops you listening to your intuition is the personal mind, the chatter, what's called the monkey chatter in Zen Buddhism. So the monkey chatter is your issue, as it is for everybody, Angela. And what you do is you learn to no longer identify with it, because everybody's got a, there's the personality, the personal mind with all the monkey chatter. When you close your eyes, you hear it there. You've got this sort of helmet on your head. It's going on all the time, and you think it's you. So you believe it. This is the trouble. We all believe what we hear in our own minds. So blah, 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 blah. So the natural self will help you release that and be able to be detached from it, rest in the self. You'll be able to see all that noise in your head and not be dragged along its journeys, which is what you want to avoid. So it definitely will help an awful lot with that as well. And your intuition comes from where you'll be resting in. There's the monkey chatter helmet over there. You will be resting in the intuition, and then it can start to grow. And it's very potent. Your intuition is always, when you get it correctly, it's always correct. And it can really be helpful in your life. Really, I live my life by intuition now. I wait for signs and signals internally. I can feel it, and strange coincidences happen all the time. And there's always a reason for it. Things may not come as quickly as I want, but I've reached the point now where I don't go, oh, hurry up, what's the matter? I just let everything ride. I do my everyday work, and then it comes along as appropriate. So I'm being guided by something. Christine, hello there, Christine. I've got hi, how are you? Okay, everybody's got that. And was there anything else there? Any other questions before we finish off in a moment? Happy to answer them if you'd like. Well, I'm here. You can ask me anything. And can you please explain a little more about how self-awareness is often just a sub-personality? Okay, that's a very good question. So I would say, when you say self-awareness, okay, so let's just show you how it works. So here is awareness. Let's do it in a linear form. Here is, if you're inside your head, here is awareness. What is it doing? It doesn't do anything. It has no form. It is just aware. Now, with your eyes closed, it's aware of the machinations of the personal mind. The personal mind and the subconscious, unconscious, the mind in general. So normally you're just watching, or you are aware of the monkey chatter, of chatterboxing, as I mentioned before. Sometimes subconscious memories come to your surface, and when you're asleep, the unconscious and the subconscious throw up the dreams. So that's the mind inside the head, let's call it. Okay. So now, within the personal mind, there are numerous 10 to 20 subpersonalities that you would be aware of. A subpersonality is a little behavior, a little collection of structures that give you a particular behavior. So you've got a subpersonality for work, one for home, one for leisure, one for the kids, one for mum and dad, one for when you're out shopping, one for whatever. See? So you have these different subpersonalities. Now, then when your eyes are open, the eyes open here, then of course you're aware of the world. So you have the mind as the interface, and there's the world, and the personality is the behavioral interface. Hope that's not too quick. So that's what you have. Now, the awareness is always here. That's the end there. That's the true self end of the spectrum. Now, each subpersonality, which is a bunch of memories, behaviors, each subpersonality has its own qualities, its own job in life, as I've just described. Now, each subpersonality believes it is you. So when you're in the mum and dad subpersonality, where you're talking to your own mum and dad, you believe that's who you are. So each subpersonality. So when you're with your kids and you're behaving in a different way entirely, you don't behave towards your mum and dad as you do to your own kids. You speak to the kids in a different way. And when you're at work, you speak in a different way and behave in a different way. So each position in your life where you're expressing a different subpersonality, those particular subpersonalities believe they are you. Each one believes they're you. They're not. The awareness shines through each of them, okay? Shines through each collection of memories and behaviors. Now, people who sell the idea of being here now and resting in the moment, that you will go into pure awareness, which is back here, remember, they mean well, but they don't understand subpersonalities. And what happens is that in here, because the personal mind doesn't like to let go of its position of power in your psyche, it likes to think it is you. Every part of it thinks it is you. You see, it's called the ego. That's chatterboxing there. What happens is that when you're saying what you've just written there, awareness and subpersonality, the subpersonality, which is called the witnessing mind, which is developed by people who go to different personal development courses, okay, or quasi meditation, pseudo meditation courses, they get their subpersonality called witnessing mind here, and this subpersonality believes it's them too, but they mistakenly believe that this is pure awareness. It's just another subpersonality doing its thing, its performance in life, its mask, okay? The awareness is back here. The awareness won't go, oh, I'm in the now, okay? You don't get that. This is a vast intelligence of pure consciousness, okay? A long way off, be here now. Does that make sense? It's quite a complex thing. I should do it in a little video, I suppose. But that's what I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it is. My mother has been a long-term sufferer of chronic depression. Kane, I would get this one. Let her listen to this one. She's got the meditation course as well. That can help a lot of people. So on a psychological level, psycho-emotional level, let her do this nature sounds, natural self, and also get her to listen to the meditation and try and start to do the meditation course, sitting up comfortably on a couch or something like that. And let her start that, because essentially it's a relaxation thing, but there's many other possibilities. They say about depression, some people, the medical profession now thinks it's something to do with the gut, the lining of the gut being perforated, which is leaky gut syndrome. So that's a possible thing. But movement has been shown to help. Can she move? Can she do something extroverted? Can she, does she play a piano? Does she sing or dance or anything like that? Is there anything from her youth that she used to do? Does she do painting? Does she do writing? See if you can get her to extrovert herself. That will turn it around. Okay, those would help her. Michael, how do I access the other programs you have available on the domeyko.com website? Only the transformation programs come up. Doesn't have a description or links. Michael, yes, I will. I'm doing that. I'm going through all the learning process of different shopping carts so that I can put everything up there. If there's anything particular you wanted, let me know. Any particular area. I've got one. If you go domeyko.com/superconscious, for instance, there's a lot of superconscious sets there. But if you'd like to send me an email with anything particular, I'll send you some links that you can have a look at. But I am doing everything as we speak. So I'll let you know that one. I hope that helps, Michael. So the natural self-tapes will help us reach true awareness, not just the witnessing mind. Exactly, because the aim for you is that you can let go, let go, let go. The witnessing mind is given a job to do by the instructions that you hear the voice every few minutes. A voice gives instructions, and you just have to let go. The witnessing mind is you know, it's like a monkey. It really is like a monkey. It wants to grab onto things, it wants to jump this way and that. But now that you have this support of the sounds, that will allow you to let go and really sense what is the self. What is it? Okay. So it's nothing to do with the personal mind, and this will help you, Christine, to separate very nicely from it. Hope that helps. It's Australian, Bonnie, Australian 197. So if you're paying in American dollars, I think you must cut a huge amount off because the US dollar is so strong. So yeah, they're all Aussie dollars that we're on. Okay, anybody else would like to ask a question? Great. Okay, thank you. Let's see, anybody else? I'm happy to answer another 2 or 3 minutes if you'd like one. And if you enjoy, I hope you enjoyed the evening. I hope it made sense to you. And if not, do let me know. I'm very approachable. And I'm glad to see so many people from our previous years of doing it. We started 30 years ago, believe it or not, in Sydney, 30 years ago. And we've been trundling along ever since, moving more towards the webinar end of the spectrum. Although, you know, I'm going to see if anybody's interested in live seminars as well. Okay, all right, so everybody's got the link. I shall, oh, Greta, I completely understand this awareness and subpersonality thing. I'll do a video on it, okay. Bonnie, would love to hear from people who've already done the work. I did have some testimonials somewhere. I'll have to look for those. Tanya, I'm having trouble getting my payment through. Oh, you're on Natural Self. Let me just try. Which one were you trying? The 197 or the 3-part, Tanya? I'm just going to click it here in front of me. So that works for the 190. It did work before I started. Let me just try again. If you have a problem, let me know and I can do a credit card over the phone if you prefer. That seems to work from my point of view. If you send me a phone number, Tanya, and I can give you a ring. Thanks, Bonnie. 3-part. Yeah, so when you click on there, I've clicked on it. It's got Natural Self 3, and then you go log in, the little yellow button on the right. That's what it comes up for me. And then up comes your PayPal login form. Is that what happens for you? If not, let me know. Because it seems to work here. Barbara? Michael, do you have a program on personalities and subpersonalities? I've got one called You and Your Life, Barbara. I will, though, do something for you. If you send me your phone number, I'll give you a call and help you with that one. If I can find a bit of paper, of course. There I am sitting at my rather busy desk. Okay, here we are. I'll just make a note if anybody needs me to call. So I'll give you a call after the thing, Tanya. 4 2 1 4 6 7 7 0 1. Just give me a few minutes, Tanya, and I'll just call you then. Dreadful typos. Thanks, Greta. Don't worry about that. It's fine. Okay, I'll discuss that with you, Tanya. We can work that out for you. Yeah, send me an email, Barbara, with your phone number. Happy to have a chat, because then I can help you an awful lot with that. What should you expect in the beginning? In the beginning, you'll go through the sessions. Maybe you'll do one each week, or one every day, or one for 3 days, like that kind of thing. And you should, the immediate thing you should expect is a deeper relaxation. And some people find after about a few days of doing it that strange coincidences start to appear. Coincidences are usually the tip of the iceberg of change. So something happens, something comes out of the blue. I have hundreds of these calls and messages from people. And what you find is that the superconscious, your higher mind, seems to love to show off, to show you what it can do. If you're consistent with the methods and the techniques, then it will start to deliver to you. And what you'll get to, which is where I am with my practice, is that you feel that there's another intelligence living with you. It's not your guardian angels or any of that kind of stuff. It's just that there is a higher intelligence released within yourself, part of the superconscious, and you go, wow, that's interesting. And it guides you without it being a voice going, do this, my son, or anything like that. There's just, it's your own intelligence that's awoken, and you know what to, you're operating from a much more intuitive frame of mind. So you start to see things in that way. Little coincidences, it's like things are breaking through, little lights are coming on in your everyday life. So you don't look for anything in particular, that's the personal mind getting in the way. You just do the practices and it arises naturally and spontaneously for you. Thanks, Tanya. You do practice yoga every day? Yeah, you can do it during the relaxation. Why not? That's a good idea, Bonnie. Yoga is great, very, very good. I would say, yes, I've come up with this one as I've been doing this for many decades. This is definitely the best place to start, I found, because I've had, a lot of experience now with the personal mind. It is really, the mind makes, as the yogis would say, the mind makes a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. So before you can master the mind, you've got to separate from it. You've got to unhook your personal chatterbox monkey mind from it and rest in the self. You have to become more familiar with yourself. Most people only experience the self when they're asleep, okay? But what you're trying to do is to experience the self and then move your consciousness up a rung to go from ordinary simple consciousness with the instinctive mind, and then you go to self-consciousness where you know you're a living being, and then you go to the superconscious. So it's a layered experience, and what you're attempting to do is to allow it to come in. You don't have to make it happen. It's not that kind of thing. You have to allow it to come in. That's what you have to learn, the balance of allowing the higher mind to come in, and it will come in. There's no doubt about it at all. Okay, anybody else? Doesn't look like it, so I'm going to finish now. We've gone quite long. We'll be doing other things. We cover the for those of you who are new, we cover the robots and AI and the danger to jobs. That's very important on a practical sense as well for everybody. It's really going to be shocking for many people, so you want to get ahead of that. So sometimes I do that one. Other times we do superconscious material about the superconscious itself, and we do, of course, the mind, our old favorite, the mind. So thank you very much for coming. I'm glad you enjoyed it, those of you there. And I shall, if you've got the course, you've got the links there still, and I shall be in touch with you with the links. So Tanya, I'll talk to you in a minute, and off we go. So bye for now, all the best.